The next morning, I could not stay inside the house. Everything around me felt heavy. The dream still clung to my chest like smoke, refusing to disappear completely. Even after betting and focusing myself to eat something small, my mind remained restless. I kept seeing blood, hearing gunshots, hearing Ifunanya asking me why. I hated it. I hated how pain could create such darkness inside the human mind. By evening, I left the house quietly and drove towards the beach. The ocean had always comforted me somehow. Ever since I was younger, water made me feel closer to peace. Maybe because it reminded me that no matter how violent storms became, calmness always returned eventually. I removed my slippers and walked slowly across the sand until I found a quiet place to sit. The wind touched my face gently. For the first time in days, my chest relaxed a little. I sat there quietly staring at the waves while the sky slowly turned orange. Then I noticed him. At first, only his shoe entered my view. Polished black shoes, standing a few steps away from me. I looked up slowly, and my breath caught slightly. He was tall, dark-skinned, and effortlessly handsome in a way that almost looked unreal. He wore black traditional clothing with silver embroidery around the sleeves. Yet, somehow, he looked more elegant than every overdressed man I had ever met in years. But it was not his looks that caught my attention. It was his calmness. He looked at the ocean the same way I was looking at it, like someone carrying thoughts too heavy to explain. "You'll be staring at the water for almost 30 minutes, he said softly without looking at my direction. Either the ocean offended you, or you're trying to solve life. Despite myself, I laughed quietly. Maybe both, I responded. That finally made him smile. And strangely, his smile felt warm instead of dangerous. "I am Andrew," he said, offering his hand politely. "Sylvia," I said. He nodded slowly like he wanted to remember the name carefully. Neither of us spoke for a while after that. And surprisingly, the silence was not awkward. Most people talk too much when they meet someone new. They rush conversation, rush connections, rush intimacy. But Andrew felt different. Calm, patient, safe, and somehow for the first time since the wedding, I forgot to feel miserable for a few minutes. When the evening became darker, he looked at me gently. "You look like someone recovering from heartbreak." I blinked in surprise. "Is that obvious?" "To someone paying attention, yes," he responded. Normally, I would have become defensive, but something about Andrew made me honestly feel easy. So I told him, not everything, not yet, but enough. I told him about loving someone deeply and losing him unexpectedly. I told him about betrayal and disappointment and how exhausting it felt trying to act strong all the time. Andrew listened quietly without interrupting me once. No fake sympathy, no unnecessary advice, just understanding. When I finished speaking, he nodded slowly. "Some people entered your life to teach you what love should never feel like," he said calmly. "That doesn't mean love itself is evil." His words stayed in my mind long after that night ended. Andrew smiled softly at me. "Can I see you again?" I should have said no. A wise woman would have said no. But after everything I had survived, I realized something important. I was tired of being afraid of happiness. So I smiled back slightly. Yes. And somehow, without realizing it, that single answer quietly changed the direction of my life forever. Andrew started becoming part of my life so naturally that sometimes it frightened me. At first, it was small things. Morning calls, random check-ins, short visit to my fashion studio. Then suddenly, he was everywhere in my routine without forcing himself into it. And unlike every man I had met after Kelvin, Andrew never made me feel uncomfortable. He never pressured me, never rushed me, never acted entitled to my attention. He simply showed up consistently. That consistency healed me slowly. One afternoon, he entered my studio while I was struggling with a difficult bridal design for an important client. The entire place was chaotic. Fabric everywhere, workers moving around anxiously, sketches scattered around my desk. Meanwhile, I was stressed and close to losing my temper. Andrew entered quietly carrying food. Not flowers, not gifts. Food. You should have eaten, he said calmly. I frowned immediately. How do you know? Being stressed, people always forget. I stared at him suspiciously. Are you secretly monitoring me? He laughed softly. No, I'm just paying attention. That was the thing about Andrew. He paid attention to everything. He noticed when I was tired before I admitted it. He noticed when my smile was fake. He noticed when I needed space instead of advice. And somehow, little by little, I stopped feeling lonely around him. Even if Naya noticed the difference. You smile differently these days, she teased one evening while helping me organize fabrics. I rolled my eyes playfully. Please, leave me alone. No, seriously, she laughed. This one is different. I wanted to deny it, but deep inside, I knew she was right. Andrew was different. By the third month of our relationship, everyone around me already loved him. Uncle Emeka admired how respectful he was. Faithful liked him immediately during video calls. Even my workers constantly talked about how kind and calm he behaved. And for the first time in many years, I allowed myself to imagine marriage again. Not the fancy version, the real version. Peaceful mornings, soft conversations, building a home with someone emotionally safe. Andrew made love feel calm instead of confusing. One evening, while driving me home after my fashion event, he suddenly asked, "Do you still compare me to him sometimes?" I became quiet immediately. Andrew smiled faintly while keeping his eyes on the road. "It's okay if you do. I'm trying not to," I admitted softly. "You don't have to erase your past to love me, Sylvia." That sentence touched me deeply. Because most people compete with your past, Andrew simply respected my healing. Months passed beautifully. No games, no disappearing, no emotional confusion, just peace. Then exactly 6 months after we met, Andrew invited me to the beach again, the same beach where we first met. The evening breeze felt soft against my skin as we walked quietly near the water. "You know," he said suddenly, "this place changed my life." I smiled slightly. "How?" "Because I met my wife here." I laughed immediately. "Your wife?" "Yes." Before I could respond, he stopped walking and turned towards me fully. Then he brought out a small velvet box. My heartbeat stopped. "Andrew." "Sylvia Oko," he said softly. "I know from the first day I saw you sitting alone here that there was something special about you." Tears instantly filled my eyes. "You looked heartbroken," he continued. "But even then, you still looked strong. And I remember praying silently that whosoever hurt you would never stop you from loving again." I covered my mouth emotionally while he smiled gently. "You are not difficult to love," he whispered. "You were simply loved wrongly." That sentence broke me completely. Tears rolled freely down my face as he opened the ring box slowly. "Marry me." I nodded before he even finished asking. Yes. My voice cracked immediately. Yes, Andrew. He laughed softly and pulled me into his arms while the waves crashed beautifully behind us. And for the first time in years, my heart felt safe. 1 month later, we got married. People complained it was too fast, but they did not understand something important. Some people take years to reveal who they truly are. Others feel like home almost immediately. Andrew was home. Our wedding was beautiful, intimate, and peaceful, and standing proudly beside me as my maid of honor. Ifunanya writes, "No, it was my beloved sister Faithful. She left everything to attend my wedding. Life truly had a strange sense of humor. But this time, there was no bitterness in my heart, no jealousy, no revenge, no pain, only gratitude." That night, after our wedding reception, Andrew held my hand gently. I stared into my eyes with the same calmness he carried the first day we met. "From the moment I saw you at that beach," he whispered softly, "I watched your back while you stared at the ocean, and something inside me became certain." I smiled through tears. Certain about what? He touched my face carefully. "That you were my wife. And this time, love did not betray me." This story is dedicated to everyone who has been heartbroken and finds it difficult to love. If you enjoyed this story, please leave a comment at the comment section. Tell me how you feel about love and betrayal. Thank you very much. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. And turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified whenever there's another video for you. Thank you.